Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Nirmal Bang. I'm Hiral Datia. We have with us Mr. Yashpal Gupta, MD and CEO at Repco Home Finance, joining in. Welcome to the show, Mr. Yashpal. Firstly, Mr. Gupta, my first question coming to you is enough has been spoken about as to what's the impact that COVID has had on the economy because no one has been left untouched. Everyone across, in terms of the economy, across sectors, healthcare, everything has been impacted. Uh, Firstly, let's talk about the sector as a whole. Now, with regards to the NBFC space as well, a lot of announcements that have come in from the RBI. Do you think all of that has been enough right now with regards to where sustenance goes, or do you think something more is required for the sector from the government?
Yes, good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. See, first of all, the impact of COVID when we see, as you rightly said, the entire economy is affected. And RBI is doing what it can do. That is, it is providing liquidity and the lower rate. But the entire it is in the form of debt. Like everything you look whether MSME financing, political lending, or windows for basic sector are in the form of debt.
Hmm.
Now, in this scenario, when you already are having problems with your income, you do not look at only debt, because debt can be ultimately you to repay. No
Hmm.
doubt it is a lower cost, but you will repay. So probably the government can do something more in terms of people money in the hands of people by way of equity or by way of subsidy.
Hmm.
That could be by way of investment opportunity, by government can spend more or tax cuts or other benefits. So RBI is doing what it can do, but like yesterday RBI governor said that we need equity for this system, for the bank and NBFC, they should raise capital. So I
Hmm.
think in addition to what RBI is doing, we have to find a way of providing equity to the system, where if there is loss, everybody bears the loss. If there is benefit, everybody gets the benefit.
Absolutely. I mean, the point that you made is absolutely correct that, I mean, repayments is something that needs to be looked at as well. So, overall, from the RBI perspective as well, the quantum of rate cuts that have happened during this period of lockdown, number one, as Repco Home Finance, have you already passed it on right now? Because we've already seen what, around 75 basis points.
Yes, sir. As you know, the repo rate cut is transmitted to banks first.
Hmm.
Banks can raise the money from RBI at AAA.
Correct,
We get funding from banks.
correct.
And while banks are reducing MCLR, it is very slow. Number one. Number two, the reset happens later. So our cost of funds has actually not gone down significantly. It has gone down only by 15 BPS. It was
Okay.
around 8.6% by March. It is about 8.3% in June. So we don't want to do only minor rate cuts, 15 to 20 BPS. But yes, our lending rates we reduced already from 8.75 to 8.25. But
Hmm.
unless the rate cuts are transmitted to the system, it is difficult to pass on for us.
Hmm.
And that is true, I think, for other NBCs also.
Right, but what is the reason that the transmission is not happening from the banks to the NBFCs or even in terms of the housing finance companies?
See, if you see historically, there is always 6 to 9 months gap, and
Hmm.
RBI reduced only in March or sometime in May. It will take probably 6 to 7 months. Second is, every rates are not always related to repo rate. If you talk to banks, they say we raise money from FDs and by other deposits, so they are not linked to repo rate. So the MCLR has been cut, but as I told you, the reset is yearly. So it is always a gap. Some has been passed on, and with historical liabilities, they remain at higher rate. I believe that by say September, October, by Diwali time, rate cuts will be passed on.
Right. And with this, do you think that the borrowing dynamics for the NBFCs as well as the housing finance companies is going to undergo acute transition? Because overall, there is a sharp fall that's happening in the share of market borrowings already right now. CPs, again, which were once the darling, are now being viewed as a scourge. Mutual fund investments in the CPs are down as well. So now, do you think banks are going to remain the drivers in terms of where borrowings to NBFCs and housing finance companies is concerned?
Yes, I think so. The reason why mutual funds investment and public investment has come down in the NBS and HFCs is they used to rely on rating companies. And unfortunately, rating companies have had a bad name in the market for last few months because their predictions have not come down well. They do not have capacity to do in-house assessment, which banks have. So yes, I do feel that going forward, the share of the bank funding is going to go up. But mind you, that banks are also changing the tax. In the sense, banks are also giving now under LTRO scheme, banks are also giving the money by way of part of the money by way of CPs and NCDs. So while public subscription and subscription of MFs in the NCD and CPs will go down, but I think bank percentage will come up. The second thing which is happening is that in the LTRO funding, in providing liquidity, one mistake which I think may come back to haunt us, the entire system, which RBI and other banks are committing, they are giving short-term funding. Like for example, recently SBI Caps, as you know, has announced a scheme. RBI has announced a scheme through SBI Caps, which is CP funding for 3 months. Now, 3 months CP funding is, again, if you give, how will NBFCs and HFCs pay who are not so good after 3 months? So it should be at least 3 to 5 year funding, not 3 months or 1 year funding for NBFC and HFC sector. Otherwise, we are back to square one and same problem will reoccur.
Right. So if this happens, does it actually impact the cost of borrowings for the sector and for Repco Home Finance as well as a whole?
Yes, it does. But again, as I told you, while cost goes down, it results into ALM mismatches because they are short-term borrowings. While, as you rightly said, 2 years back, the NBFCs were raising a lot of CPs and NCDs. Why? Because of lower rates. So CPs today are available in the market for good HFCs like us at 5.5%, 6%. But again, they are 3 to 6 months funding. So cost will go down, but asset liability mismatch will come up. So it is a balance between the two. While cost has come down, the risk management also has to be maintained. There should be not gap in the ALM. So we at our company are trying to ensure a proper mix. The short-term liabilities should not be more than 15-20% of our borrowing. That is what we are having. Even though cost is high, fine. But there are some people who become greedy in business and they don't mind having 30 or 40% as short-term borrowing. That time the cost goes on, but ALM mismatches arise. So I think RBI has to be worried about this. They have to develop a mechanism to monitor the ALM as well as cost.
Right. And with this, do you think re-leveraging will be off for a while?
Re-leveraging will be off for a while, yes. But for in the name of liquidity, re-leveraging will happen. Because many, as you know, recently we have heard about an NBFC team to tell the name. They have sold a part of their portfolio to foreign investors. So a lot of NBFCs and HFCs are selling their portfolio. That is another form of leveraging. But yes, for the short term, the equity will go up and debt will come down. So that will improve the leverage at least in the short term.
Right. And overall as well, we've seen prolonged disruption, Mr. Gupta, especially if you talk about this sector, there has been a liquidity crunch. Then, we actually moved into a crisis of confidence. And now we've come to something called as COVID. Now, because of all of this, actually, it has led to NBFCs to sacrifice some amount of growth in the last couple of years. They've looked at pruning their balance sheets. They've become asset light as well. Taking this into consideration, do you think there is a possibility where or there is a need for business model reorientation to happen?
Yes, if you see in last few years, the NBC growth happened at the cost of banks.
Mm.
Banks did not grow too fast. They were trying to sort of balance their balance sheet. The old NPAs they were trying to resolve, and they are funding NBCs which got AAA rating on the ground that NBFCs we are safe, we are giving money to NBC. That model is changing fastly. The banks are coming back into lending business. The NBCs, as you know, are having problems. They are going to business-like model. So funding pattern of NBC is changing, but at the same time, the advantage an NBC and HFCs have is they have large mile connectivity, which still probably banks do not have. While a lot of digital banking has happened, but connectivity is not full. So probably a model will evolve whereby the NBC will partner the banks. There, it will be sharing of the risk where a NBC will use their resources to bring down the business, and then loan will be given by bank and some 10%, 50% will be done by NBCs. I think that is the model we are probably going to work on in future.
Right. And with this now, if you talk about COVID as well, how big has been the impact on a Repco Home Finance, especially on the moratoriums that have been availed for, or even in terms of where business is concerned, if you have to take into consideration the last week of March, since, the last 10 days of March, since when the lockdown has happened to now?
Okay, so there are two parts to this. One is as if you talk about liquidity, because many of the NBFCs are facing problem. Fortunately for us, we do not have any problem because while our rating may be not AAA, AA plus, but at the same time for banks it is AAA. So banks are giving us money quite easily. And as I told you, we have reduced the cost from 8.6 to 8.3%. So on liquidity front, we are good. Second is about moratorium. Now, when the first set of moratorium was announced in March, late March, that time everybody was panic. Nobody knew what will happen. And we also thought that probably by May end, everything will be normal. That's why we gave to almost all our customers the moratorium. 85% customers, we give moratorium. But as the things evolve, we realize that it is going to be long term. It's going to be few years, not few months. And customers also realize. We also found a way of improving our efficiency while working from home. So the second lockdown, we explained to customers that it is a deferment. It is not a waiver.
Correct.
If you avail this moratorium, it will put more burden on you because the EMI amount will go up, EMI numbers will go up. Though customers we have been able to explain better, and in month of June, I am happy to say about 70% of our customers have paid. About 70% of customers have paid. While it was only 15% in the first lockdown, in the second, in the June month, it is going to be around only 30% moratorium. So that is one thing. The second is about growth. Yes, the growth has taken a beating. As you know, in the March last week, which happens for the maximum disbursement in the last 4th of March, and in the month of April, it was almost zero. But slowly it started picking up. We have also realized that yes, we cannot live like this. We have to live with the COVID. It is a new normal for us. And slowly, I am happy to announce that in the month of June, our disbursement have come up to about 50% of normal. Yes, it is far below the normal, but it is come down to 50% of normal. And we expect that the way things are improving in the sense, while numbers are going up, as I told you, mortality is very low. The number of customers who are recuperated or have gone home is very high. Percentage is 62% in India. That is slowly going up. So if this thing remains normal, probably by September, October, in the festival season, we see about 73% of demand coming back.
Right. So with this, if you're talking about the moratorium as well, another conversation that I've been having, Mr. Gupta, is that because the rates have not come down for all, there are banks and NBFCs who already reduced their rates right now in terms of home loans. Some have not really gone down. So a lot of attrition is happening of customers where they want to move from the existing loan providers to the ones who have a lower profile. However, there is a lot of resistance coming in right now uh, from the NBFCs as well to take over an existing loan from another bank or another NBFC. Is that a scenario that you're seeing as well, where there is a lot of attrition happening?
Yeah, attrition was always there in the sector. If you see CIBIL report, about 9% of the loans used to get repaid or taken over. It has come down in the month of March, but yes, again, it has started picking up in June. We are seeing again that happening, which is actually not growing the overall liability of the system. The credit remains same, but from A player to B player it moves. And that is a dirty game which is happening. Yes, but it is again started picking up. Yes.
Right. And if suppose, for example, a consumer who has taken or availed the moratorium with a institution, uh, is institution B ready to pick up those loans from them in spite of the moratorium? Or is that going to be a stringent act where if the consumer has availed a moratorium, you will not be touching those loans?
See, it is too early to say, but yes, moratorium that way is a negative because moratorium means at least in short term. While the RBI said that CIBIL should not affect their score or other credit rating agencies should not affect their score, but it does have a psychological effect and it does have a qualitative effect. And the customers who obtain moratorium, probably other banks are reluctant to touch them for the time being. Yes.
Right. And with this, what's the kind of impact that you're expecting with regards to where the asset quality is concerned?
Yes, so asset quality is concerned because RBI has given 6 month moratorium, that is till August, and they said that 6 months will be a standstill period. So in the September, till September, we are in the July month, September, till September, the NPA will not be effective. In general situation, yes, asset quality, RBI governor has said, many experts have said the asset quality will worsen. But in terms of numbers, probably by September, this will not be reflected in the balance sheet because already moratorium is given till August. It's only from December onward that we will see the numbers. But that is why, in our case, we are very clear that we don't want suddenly to see the surge in December. We started collecting now only. I think RBI is also there. Probably one suggestion that we could have done is that instead of full moratorium, that is zero payment, it should have been partial payment. Maybe 10%, 20%, because customers, especially retail customers, once they get used to not paying for 6 months, and once our branches people, our collection team used to not collecting them from 6 months. Suddenly to go on 7th month they collect becomes very difficult.
Right.
So RBI instead of 100% moratorium, they should have allowed partial moratorium.
Correct. And with this, how are you seeing the disbursement trends right now, Mr. Gupta? Because again, what we hear is that at least there is a lot of pressure with regards to real estate as a sector as well. Are you seeing a major impact on disbursements because people are really scared to go buy a house, or are you seeing an uptick that has started to come in terms of investments in the real estate space and the disbursements are improving?
Okay, so real estate has two parts. One is the real estate builders, second is the individuals.
Correct.
If we talk of individuals, yes, the disbursement have gone down, but it is not only because they are scared. It is because of the number of reasons that we are finding feedback from the ground. That one, because of COVID, nobody wants to go and see the property. As you know, in India, we go and see 20 properties before deciding which one to buy. And a lot of builders are saying we show you video putting of the property,
Correct.
which customer don't want to go. So that is one reason, because of COVID, then they are not going out. And second reason is customers are bargaining for the rate,
Hmm.
because some of the experts have said in the various forums that real estate prices will go down by 15 to 20%.
Correct.
So they are bargaining 1 crore property, 80 lakhs. Still are saying, no, I'll not sell. So that is also second reason. I don't think customers are so much worried about builder's ability or non-ability to
Hmm.
construct in time. I think it are these factors, that is the ability to visit the properties, the price negotiation that are affecting. But slowly we started seeing traction. Already, as I told you, the demand has gone to 50% and it is going to go up in future.
Right. And do you see a change happening with regards to the mix of the loan portfolio between home loans as well as the LAP book?
Yes, on the lab book, generally housing finance companies are becoming conservative
Hmm.
because it is a business loan. We do not know where it is used. Generally, the fear is that these lab loans will be used for consumer purpose, for purchasing the goods for business purpose. It may not be repaid or it has a high risk of non-payment. But if you look at housing loan, because it is a loan purchase for purchase of housing property where somebody is living, the payment and payment will be made from business income, payment will be made from salary income, so risk of default is low. For the short term, I do feel that housing loan percentage will go up.
Right. And with this, do you see a change in the loan book composition as well? Because almost little over 50% did come in from the salaried people. Non-salaried was little lower, but with the job losses that are happening, how are you seeing that mix change, and how big is that impact going to be on the asset quality?
Yeah, it is a very tricky question because you are right that the risk wise, the salary class or white collar salary class has a low risk as compared to small salary class or self-employed professional. But at the same time, when you talk of margins, because as a housing finance company, you also may want to make a margin. Today, the housing loan given by the SBI for salary class is lower than our cost of funds. So obviously that segment, while risk-wise is good, but the rate of interest we cannot match.
Hmm.
So it is going to be a tricky question, but given the information so far available to me, I see that the risk will remain unchanged.
Okay.
There may
And
be slight tilt, but in
uh,
the overall scenario, it will remain changed.
right. And
Yeah.
with this, with the exposure that Repco Home has, especially to Tamil Nadu as well, what's the kind of impact are you seeing on the asset quality for the book, which is pertinent to the South especially?
We are basically present in two states, two regions, south and west. In
Hmm.
eastern side, we have very small presence. So our experience in west and south is similar. They are similar because some of them are paying, some of them are taking moratorium, some of them are not paying. But it is all. It is not a South impact is different than all India impact. The same.
Okay. And overall as well, with this impact, if you have to talk about FY21, Mr. Gupta, everyone is actually saying that probably this year is going to be a washout year for all sectors. No one is being spared, and everyone is only looking to break even right now. That's the only thought, because no one knows what's the next step of business, or what's the next step in business that needs to be taken, because no one knows what the situation is going to look like 30 days from now as well. So, what is your expectation in terms of Repco Home Finance if you have to talk about the AUM growth? And secondly, at what levels are you looking to maintain the spreads and the net interest margins in this financial year?
Okay, so there are two, three questions you asked. Let me answer one by one. At the current scenario, you are very right that we do not know what will happen tomorrow.
Correct.
So our focus is on risk management, asset quality management, and the liquidity management.
Mm.
Growth is not our priority. Yes, it is not that we started giving loans, we stopped giving loans, sort of. We are giving loans, but that is not our priority.
Mm.
I see in the current year, as you rightly mentioned sometime back, the TICOs are also on a large scale. So I do not see more than single digit growth for us in the current year. That is number one.
Mm.
Number two, but we are focusing on quality and we are focusing on spread and NIM. We are already maintained the spread of more than 3% so far, and we expect to maintain a spread of 3% or more in the coming year. Number two is when you talk of NIM, NIM has been about 4.25 to 4.5 within that range. It is fluctuating, and this year also we see in the same range also.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, go on, go on.
Yeah, that is why I have focused on bottom line rather than top line.
Mm. Right, and that's absolutely correct as to what you're saying. And what about the MSME space as well? How do you see that sector performing from here on? Because right now there have been a couple of relief measures that have, the government has announced for the sector. But what's happening is no one knows how sustainable the MSMEs are going to be from here on. Do you think, I mean, at least from a Repco MSME perspective, where Repco Home holds almost around 32% stake, what is MSME looking like right now to you?
Yes, MSMEs are, there are crores of MSMEs, so you cannot paint all of them into same brush. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, many of them are facing problems. I
Correct.
think what government needs to do is, in addition to the protected free funding that is available, in addition to that, the PSOs have large, about 6 lakh crores
Mm,
of credit to them. They
mm.
should release that money. PSO should speed up the expenditure so that the MSMEs get some market for them. But otherwise, MSME sector as a whole is not going to do well in the future.
Right. And currently, with regards to the liquidity position as well, where do we stand right now?
You are talking about Repco Home Finance?
Yes.
There we are very comfortable. We have bought 2,500 crores of undisbursed sanction.
Mm,
We
mm.
have given moratorium to all customers, but we have not availed the moratorium for our bankers. We are paying on time on the first phase also, on the second phase also. And we have, I told you, 2,500 crores of undisbursed sanction. We have 300 crores of cash. We are paying everybody on time. So liquidity wise, I would say we are one of the best placed NBFCs in the market.
Absolutely. And Mr. Gupta, another question coming is, now the anticipation from everyone is that the first that will bounce back, in the economy is going to be the rural area, the tier 3, tier 4 cities. So a lot of companies are looking to focus on those areas with regards to where business goes. Now, even for a Repco Home, I know it's very difficult to think of what the strategy, needs to be from here on. But do you think once, all of this chaos ends, you will be looking to focus on tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities where probably the cost of living is low? And secondly, the disposable income probably is higher, taking their growth into consideration.
Already, in fact, already since last year, we are focusing on tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5 cities. Yes, we are not in rural areas, but in addition to what all you told, in tier 1, the TICOs are very high
Mm.
competitively. So we are already focusing on that, and yes, we'll continue to have more presence in tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5 cities.
Right. And anything that you would want to tell the viewers as well for the sector as a whole?
See, as I told you, the requirement is of equity, and I do have a suggestion which is Government of India, because one question everybody is asking, how will government get money to give people
Mm.
money to the people? So I feel what government can do is that, because one idea is everybody thinks government can consider only tax or dividend from PSUs or distribution, etc. But government has one way government can raise money. they can tell all the companies, whether listed or unlisted, to put 10% capital to the government at par. They should give 10% capital to government in par. For
Right.
example, somebody, his total stock market is about 60 lakh crore. They give 10% to the government at par. Then government can sell the premium in the market, and that way government can collect 5 lakh crores without putting tax burden. Yes, the companies will be affected, their valuation will be affected, their shareholder will be affected, but don't forget that in the case of emergency, everything belongs to government. So
Correct.
I think that is what government can do. Instead of collecting taxes which they cannot do beyond a point, instead of telling we cannot do anything, they should collect equity from the players, both listed as well as unlisted.
Unlisted. Right. And very lastly, Mr. Gupta, what is the worst case credit cost that we could see for the MSME book?
Fortunately, in Repco Home Finance, there is no massive book.
Yeah, correct. But
So, but overall for the industry,
Hmm.
the worst credit cost I see is about 10%. It can be
it could be
because
10% in the
yes,
worst case scenario.
yes.
Right, right. All right, Mr. Gupta, pleasure speaking to you. Great insights that we've picked up for the sector and for Repco. Stay safe. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well, and it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta.
Thank you.